Do you know the best revenge against those who doubted you? It's not sending passive-aggressive long texts in the family group chat. It's not posting photos of a rented car pretending to be successful. And it's definitely not dwelling on resentment while your life remains stagnant. The best revenge is so brutal, so devastating, so absolutely inescapable that it doesn't even need to be announced. It's becoming so extraordinarily competent, so undeniably successful, that the mere fact that you exist is a constant reminder of the error in judgment they made. And here's the truth that goes against everything you've been taught about forgiving and forgetting. You don't need to forgive those who trampled on you. You just need to build such a solid empire that those people will spend the rest of their lives swallowing their pride every time they hear your name. Because look, while everyone is selling you that sugary story of ignore the haters and be happy, the harsh reality is that ignoring doesn't build anything, transforming rejection into radioactive fuel for your ambition. That's what completely changes the game. Now answer me with brutal honesty. How many times have you heard that you weren't good enough? How many doors have been slammed in your face? How many people have laughed at your dream while drinking beer and complaining about their own mediocrity? And the question that really matters, what did you do with that pain? Because most people turn rejection into an excuse to give up, into a justification for playing the victim, into a reason to accept a lukewarm and safe life. But there is a small, almost secret group of people who do the opposite. They take every no, every humiliation, every moment of contempt, and transform it into a furnace so hot that it forges steel. They understand something that Machiavelli preached more than 500 years ago. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches that the world doesn't reward those who are nice. It rewards those who are competent. And if you're here watching this right now, I have a suspicion. You're tired of pretending it doesn't hurt. You're exhausted from following empty motivational advice that doesn't change anything in practice. And deep down, you want to learn the secret manual that nobody teaches you. How to transform all this resentment, all this pent-up anger, all this thirst to prove your worth into relentless strategic action that builds real results. Because here's what I'm going to give you in the next few minutes. It's not a generic motivational speech. It's not a catchy phrase for you to print and forget tomorrow. It's a complete protocol, tested through centuries of power dynamics on how to use rejection as a strategic advantage, how to build competence that no one can question, how to operate in the shadows while your competitors burn credibility in the spotlight, how to emerge when the timing is perfect with an empire that no one can bring down. You'll learn exactly what to do when everyone thinks you won't succeed, and it's not crying, it's not complaining, it's not posting passive-aggressive messages. It's building so quietly, so meticulously, so strategically, that when you finally appear, it will be with such superior results that those people will wonder where they went wrong in underestimating you. And the best part, you won't even need to rub it in their faces. The reality of your success will do it automatically, every day, without you lifting a finger. So stick with me until the end, because what you're going to learn here isn't in a self-help book. It's not in a motivational speech. It's in the pages that Machiavelli wrote, observing real power being built and destroyed. And you're going to discover how to apply this to your life, now, today, in a concrete and devastatingly effective way. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul. An invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder. You are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. There's a truth that few manage to see when they're at rock bottom, bleeding inside while the world remains indifferent. Rejection isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning of your natural selection. When those people turned their backs on you, when they ignored you in that important meeting, when they laughed at your dream at the bar, they weren't destroying you. They were unknowingly setting you free. Because you see, while you were busy trying to prove your worth to those who never deserved to witness your journey, you were wasting vital energy that could have been invested in the real construction of your empire. Machiavelli understood this deeply when he observed the corridors of power in Florence. Not everyone deserves to be present when you reach the top. Rejection acts as a brutal but necessary filter, separating those who truly matter from those who are only there to watch you stumble. And you know what happens when you finally accept this? You stop dancing to everyone else's tune and start composing your own symphony. The silence of others, that deafening void when you needed support, is actually a gift disguised as a curse. Think about it. Every time someone ignored you, you gained the freedom to work without the pressure of judgmental eyes, without having to explain every step of your strategy, without needing to justify your radical decisions. It's like that entrepreneur who was rejected by dozens of investors before building his business alone. When it finally took off, he didn't owe anyone an explanation. He didn't have partners demanding immediate results. He didn't need to dilute his vision to please committees. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches us that the world doesn't work based on who deserves more affection or attention. It works based on who delivers concrete results. While you were being ignored, your competitors were being observed, criticized, having every move analyzed and questioned. And you were invisible, operating in the shadows, making mistakes away from the spotlight, learning without the audience that demands perfection. This temporary invisibility is a strategic advantage that few recognize until it's too late. Now observe the power of this dynamic. When no one pays attention to you, when you are treated as irrelevant, you gain the most valuable luxury in the modern world: uninterrupted time to execute your strategy without interference. This is where true human nature reveals itself in all its cruelty and beauty. People only pay attention to those who already shine, completely ignoring those who are building their brilliance in the dark. This means that while they are busy celebrating superficial victories on social media, you may be building concrete foundations that will support skyscrapers. The appearance of virtue that so many cultivate, this desperate need to seem successful before actually being so, is a prison. But you are free from this prison. Every rejection you suffered was a key that unlocked a different door. And when you finally emerge, not with promises, but with tangible achievements, those same people who ignored you will wonder where you came from. They will never understand that it was precisely their silence that gave you the necessary space to grow without being prematurely pruned. And that, my friend, is just the first secret of a much deeper journey. There's a question Machiavelli asked over 500 years ago that still makes most people squirm uncomfortably. Is it better to be loved or feared? And his answer, raw and unfiltered, remains one of the most misunderstood truths in history. It's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both. But hey, pay attention to what that really means, because it's not about being a sadistic tyrant who terrorizes everyone around you. That's a shallow interpretation from someone who never truly understood the game. The fear Machiavelli speaks of is the profound respect that arises from absolute competence. It's that shiver people feel when they know you're not just talking nonsense, that when you say you'll do something, you simply do it. It's the healthy fear a mediocre athlete feels when facing a champion, not because the champion is cruel, but because the difference in skill level is so stark that it inspires reverent awe. When you build true competence, when you become so good at what you do that your mere presence changes the energy of any environment, you don't need to threaten anyone. Your ability speaks for itself. Now let's dissect this idea with surgical realism. Love is volatile. Love changes with the weather, with mood, with circumstances. That boss everyone loves today because he gives time off, and is nice might be forgotten tomorrow when another, even nicer one appears. But the leader who is competent, who delivers consistent results, who transforms failed projects into resounding successes, that one isn't loved. He's respected, and respect lasts longer than affection. Politics guided by reality shows us this every day. Popular presidents fall into oblivion, but those who transformed the real economy, who changed concrete structures, remain relevant decades later. Do you want to be the nice guy everyone forgets? Or do you want to be the inescapable reference in your field? Because here's the secret nobody tells you. You might start out being loved, but if you don't have the competence to sustain that love, it quickly turns to contempt. On the other hand, when you master your art with expertise, when you become undeniably competent, even those who don't love you are forced to acknowledge you. And recognition based on competence is real power. But Machiavelli didn't stop there, and neither should you. He said something even more crucial. Avoid being hated, because interestingly, you can be feared without being hated. You can inspire profound respect without creating mortal enemies. How? Through justice in your actions, through predictability in your standards, through impartiality in your decisions. Think of that university professor who is known for being extremely demanding. The students fear him, yes, but they don't hate him because they know he is fair, that those who dedicate themselves can pass, that the rules are clear to everyone. Now compare that to the professor who is arbitrary, who has favorites, who changes the rules mid-game. That one is hated, and hatred breeds conspiracy, sabotage, revenge. The calculated use of force that Machiavelli advocated is not about random brutality. It's about applying precise pressure at the right points at the right time, with a clear purpose. When you combine absolute competence with strategic justice, when your actions are based on real human nature and not on rosy fantasies about how people should be, you create something far more valuable than fleeting love. You create lasting respect. And lasting respect, my friend, is the most valuable currency in the game of true power. But this power needs to be exercised in a specific way with strategies that most people are completely unaware of. There's an art that true strategists master but rarely teach, the art of being invisible while building empires. Think about it. We live in an era where everyone wants the spotlight, where people announce their plans on Instagram before even taking the first step, where every small achievement becomes 17 stories with motivational hashtags. And you know what happens to these people? They become targets before they become real threats. Because when you expose your strategy prematurely, when you reveal your moves before consolidating your positions, you give your competitors the perfect opportunity to sabotage you, to copy your idea with more resources, to create counter-strategies before you gain traction. Machiavelli observed this in the Italian courts. The conspirators who announced their intentions were executed. Those who worked in the shadows, silently accumulating power and alliances, were the ones who truly changed the game. Invisibility as a weapon is not cowardice, it's strategic intelligence of the highest level. As long as you operate without scrutiny, without the pressure of judgmental eyes, without having to justify every decision to an audience that doesn't understand the complete plan, you move with total freedom. Now let's talk about what it really means to operate in the shadows in the contemporary world. It's not about being a hermit or hiding from society. It's about strategically choosing what you reveal and when you reveal it. Look at the example of large investment funds. They don't publicly announce which stocks they are buying while they are still accumulating positions, because that would increase the price and disrupt their strategy. They operate discreetly, accumulate silently, and only reveal their positions when legally obligated or when they have already consolidated an irreversible advantage. The same principle applies to your life. That revolutionary project you're developing doesn't need to become a LinkedIn post every week. That skill you're mastering doesn't need a framed certificate before it's truly honed. That business you're building doesn't need a logo on social media while you're still validating the model. The appearance of virtue that so many pursue, appearing successful, appearing busy, appearing important, distracts you from the real building of competence. And worse, it creates expectations that you are not yet capable of meeting. When you work in the shadows, when you build away from the spotlight, you can make mistakes without an audience, you can pivot without explanations, you can experiment without premature judgment. But there's a crucial detail that separates those who use strategic invisibility from those who simply procrastinate with sophisticated excuses. Constant movement in the shadows. You're not invisible because you're afraid or because you're not doing anything. You're invisible because you're doing so much that you don't have the time or energy to show off. It's like that entrepreneur you suddenly discover has 5 profitable companies, even though you've never seen him posting about entrepreneurship or giving motivational speeches. He was too busy building to talk about construction. The end justifies the means here. The end is the consolidated empire. The means include working without external validation, without intermediate applause, without premature recognition. Decisions based on real human nature show us that people value the spectacular end result much more than the laborious process. So give them the spectacle, but only when it's ready, only when it's undeniable, only when it can no longer be easily sabotaged or copied. And while you operate in this strategic invisibility, while you build your arsenal in the shadows, something much more powerful is silently happening inside you. Do you know the most devastating revenge you can take against those who underestimated you, who laughed at your dreams, who bet on your failure? It's not cursing, it's not suing, it's not writing long posts on social media exposing those who hurt you. It's much more brutal than that. It's becoming so absurdly competent, so undeniably excellent at what you do, that the mere mention of your name makes those people swallow hard. Because look at the delicious irony. When you respond to rejection with anger, with petty revenge, with desperate attempts to prove your worth through direct confrontation, you only confirm that they were right to underestimate you. But when you respond with absolute competence, when you transform every no you received into fuel to master your field with expertise, you create a situation where those people are forced to recognize your greatness, even if it corrodes them from the inside. Machiavelli perfectly understood that the calculated use of force doesn't have to be physical or aggressive. It can be the quiet force of unquestionable competence. And that force, my friend, is infinitely more powerful than any emotional retaliation. Let's break this down with concrete examples, because theory without application is just barroom philosophy. Think about that guy who was humiliatingly fired, with his boss saying in front of everyone that he would never amount to anything. Instead of suing the company or posting passive-aggressive comments on Facebook, he spent the next 3 years obsessively studying programming, waking up at 5 in the morning to take online courses, sacrificing weekends to build personal projects, reading technical documentation while others watched TV series. 3 years later, not only was he working at a big tech company earning 5 times more, but he had become a reference in the developer community, giving talks, being invited to podcasts, and having companies fighting over him. When his former boss discovered through LinkedIn what he had become, there was no excuse, no justification, only the embarrassed silence of someone who knows they bet on the wrong horse. That's the revenge of competence. Or think about that entrepreneur whose idea was stolen by partners who kicked her out of her own company. Instead of wasting energy on lawyers and endless lawsuits, she simply created a better version of the product, executed it more efficiently, and conquered the market so dominantly that the original company became a footnote. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, teaches us that the market doesn't care who had the idea first. It cares who executes it best. Now here's the secret that transforms this revenge from efficient to devastating. You don't need to announce your revenge. You don't need to confront the people who wronged you. You don't even need to mention their names. Your competence speaks for itself, and it speaks much louder than any vengeful speech. When you master your field, when your results are so superior that they become a mandatory benchmark, the people who underestimated you will naturally find out. Through third parties, through the market, through the inescapable reality of your success. And you know what's sweetest? They will have to swallow their pride in silence, because any attempt to diminish your achievement will only further expose the incompetence of their original judgment. Better to be feared than loved takes on a new dimension here. When your competence is so overwhelming, people fear you not out of aggression, but out of technical superiority. They know that competing with you is playing at a level they cannot reach. Virtù and Fortuna meet at this point. You created your own luck through pure skill. You transformed unfavorable circumstances into a strategic advantage. And while you're too busy being competent to care about who bet against you, something even deeper is solidifying in your psychology. There's a crucial moment in the journey of anyone building something real, a turning point that separates those who go far from those who stagnate. It's when you finally understand, deep in your soul, that other people's opinions of you are absolutely irrelevant to your execution. It's not about pretending not to care while still obsessively checking social media to see who liked your post. It's about genuinely no longer needing that validation to keep working. Because you see, while you're still dependent on external applause, on recognition from others, on constant validation to feel like you're on the right track, you're giving other people an invisible but devastating control over your life. Every criticism paralyzes you, every lack of recognition discourages you, every comparison corrodes you. You become a puppet controlled by strings that you can't even see. But when you cut those strings, when you develop the psychology of true detachment, something magical happens. You accelerate brutally. Because now, all that energy you spent seeking approval, defending yourself from criticism, comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20, all that energy is redirected to pure execution. Machiavelli knew this when he spoke about decisions based on real human nature. People are fickle, their opinions change with the wind. Building your foundation on their approval is like building castles in the sand. Let's talk about how this works in practice, because emotional detachment isn't about becoming a robot without feelings. It's about strategically choosing where you invest your emotional energy. Take the example of that writer who spent years trying to please literary critics, changing his style to fit what was fashionable, seeking validation from awards and academic recognition. The result? Mediocre books, none with his true voice, weak sales, growing frustration. Until one day, he simply decided, I'm going to write what I believe needs to be written, the way I think it should be written, and whoever likes it, great, whoever doesn't, their problem. He published a book completely outside the norm, without caring what critics would say. Do you know what happened? It became a bestseller, because it finally had authenticity, it had soul, it had the strength that only comes when you're not trying to please everyone. Or think of that athlete who stopped comparing himself to world records and started competing only with himself. Each training session was about surpassing yesterday's version, not about impressing coaches or gaining sponsor approval. Ironically, when he stopped seeking external validation, the results improved so much that validation came naturally. The appearance of virtue he had tried to maintain before, to seem dedicated, to seem disciplined, was replaced by real virtue when he stopped caring about appearances. Now pay attention to this fascinating paradox. The less you need external validation, the more validation you receive, because people can sense when you're desperate for approval, and that repels. But when you're genuinely focused on your execution, when all your energy is channeled into concrete results, when you exude that quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, that attracts. It's like that entrepreneur who stopped going to networking events, trying to impress investors, and simply focused on building an exceptional product. When the product became truly good, investors came looking for it. Avoiding being hated doesn't mean seeking to be loved by everyone. It means not letting the search for acceptance transform you into something you're not. When you develop your own loyal armies, and here I'm talking about skills, competencies, knowledge that belong to you and don't depend on external validation, you become emotionally independent. You can listen to feedback, you can consider constructive criticism, but you don't need it to continue. Your internal compass is calibrated, your standards are defined, your focus is crystal clear. And when you reach that level of psychological detachment, when your self-motivation comes from within and not from likes, comments, or the approval of others, you unlock a capacity for creation that most people will never experience. But detachment alone is not enough. It needs to be directed towards something greater, something that transcends yourself. Here's the stark difference between those who build houses of cards and those who build fortresses of stone. The empire mentality isn't concerned with likes, appearances, or impressing people at parties. It's obsessed with creating systems that function regardless of your presence or absence. Think about it. What's the difference between that influencer who posts motivational quotes every day and an entrepreneur who built a lucrative franchise chain? The influencer stops making money if they stop posting. The entrepreneur continues to profit even when they're sleeping, traveling, or simply taking a vacation. That's empire mentality versus performance mentality. Machiavelli observed this in the Italian principalities. Rulers who relied solely on personal charisma lost everything when they died or fell from grace. Those who built solid institutions, functional laws, and efficient administrative structures left legacies that lasted for centuries. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, teaches us that well-designed systems outperform brilliant individuals in the long run. Because individuals get tired, get sick, lose motivation, die. But well-built systems perpetuate, scale, and evolve. When you shift your focus from "how can I appear successful" to "how can I build something that generates real and lasting value," you leave the game of appearances and enter the game of genuine creation. Let's break this down with practical examples you can apply regardless of your field. If you're a programmer, an empire mindset isn't about doing that freelance project that pays you today and ends tomorrow. It's about creating a code library, a SaaS, a digital product that other companies license monthly. If you're a consultant, it's not about selling your time indefinitely. It's about systematizing your knowledge into methodologies, frameworks, and training programs that can be replicated and sold at scale. If you're a content creator, it's not about depending on views from your latest video. It's about building a subscriber base, developing your own products, and creating multiple revenue streams that don't depend on social media algorithms. Look at the real case of a designer who spent years selling logos on a project basis, irregular earnings, always starting from scratch with each client, with no predictability whatsoever. until he created a system, high-quality premium templates sold on his own platform, video tutorials with a monthly subscription, and a paid community where beginner designers pay to access his recorded mentorships. Even when he's not actively creating, the system continues to sell, continues to deliver value, continues to generate revenue. He built a small but solid empire, while other designers are still chasing their next project. The end justifies the means here. The end is financial and time freedom through systems. The means include intense initial work without immediate return, but with a long-term vision. But there's an even deeper layer to this mindset that few realize. Building an empire isn't just about money or business. It's about creating structures in all areas of your life. Think about health. Instead of going on a crazy 2-week diet, you create a sustainable food system with planned meals, reliable suppliers, and routines that work even when you're busy. Instead of working out whenever you feel like it, you build an exercise protocol that fits your schedule, has clear progression, and doesn't depend on fluctuating motivation. In the financial area, instead of saving when you have extra money, you automate monthly investments, create multiple income streams, and establish clear triggers for financial decisions that remove emotion from the equation. Your own loyal armies in the modern context are the systems you completely control. Whether it's a business, a productivity routine, or a network of genuine relationships that you intentionally cultivate over the years. Virtù and Fortuna intertwine here. You create your luck through intelligent systems that automatically capture opportunities. That writer who published a book and expects it to sell has a product mindset. The person who launched a series of interconnected books created an email list to notify fans of new releases and develops related content that constantly feeds the sales funnel. That person has an empire mindset. And when you start thinking like that, when every action you take is calculated to build something that lasts for decades, not just until next week, you naturally develop another fundamental quality that most never master. There's a bitter truth that the culture of instant results tries to hide from you. Great empires aren't built in motivated weekends. They're erected brick by brick, decision by decision, over years of unseen work. And here lies one of the greatest tests of character you'll face, managing to keep building when there's no applauding audience, when there's no validation coming, when every cell in your body is screaming for you to give up and seek immediate gratification. Machiavelli deeply understood the concept of time as an ally when he observed that the most successful princes weren't the impulsive ones, but those who knew how to wait for the exact moment to act. Because, interestingly, delayed aggression isn't disguised passivity. It's not an excuse for procrastination with a philosophical veneer. It's accumulating power, resources, knowledge, and connections silently, so that when the right moment arrives, you attack with such overwhelming force that victory is inevitable. It's like that fighter who spends the entire fight studying their opponent, absorbing blows, appearing defensive, while in reality mapping every pattern, every weakness, every opening, so that at the decisive moment they can deliver a surgical knockout. Strategic patience is compressed power, waiting for the perfect timing to manifest itself. Let's apply this to practical reality, because theory without action is intellectual masturbation. Think of that entrepreneur everyone thought was crazy for not expanding as fast as his competitors. While other startups in the same sector burned millions on aggressive marketing, opening offices in 10 cities simultaneously, he focused on perfecting the product in a single city, on deeply understanding his customer, on building operations so efficient that his profit margin was 3 times higher than the competition. 3 years later, when competitors were going bankrupt due to unsustainable growth, He had robust cash flow, tested processes, a consolidated team, and then he expanded, buying the bankrupt competitors for a pittance and dominating the market. That strategic patience transformed into devastating delayed aggression. Or look at the example of that investor who, in 2008, during the financial crisis, while everyone was desperately selling stocks, he was silently accumulating. Not by luck, but because he spent years studying economic cycles, understanding that crises are temporary, but solid companies are eternal. He waited patiently, bought when there was blood in the streets, and 10 years later was sitting on a fortune. The calculated use of force here wasn't about wasting ammunition when everyone else was shooting. It was about saving gunpowder for when the others were already disarmed. Now comes the part that demands the most emotional maturity. Strategic patience means watching other people seemingly overtake you, receiving recognition before you, appearing more successful in the short term while you're there, working in the shadows, building foundations they can't even imagine. And you need the composure to continue at your own pace, not to be seduced by the artificial urgency that social media creates, not to accelerate your process just because everyone around you seems to be rushing. Decisions based on real human nature show us that most people can't handle this pressure. They start skipping steps, looking for shortcuts, sacrificing quality for speed, and then they crumble before reaching the top. But you understand that constant adaptability doesn't mean changing direction with every wind that blows. It means adjusting tactics while keeping the strategy intact. It's like that athlete who trains for 5 years for an Olympics. They don't change sports because another athlete won a medal faster. They adjust their training, improve their technique, but maintain focus on the long-term goal. Better to be feared than loved gains. Another layer here. When you finally emerge after years of silent preparation, the impact is so superior that people fear you not out of aggression, but out of a superiority that seems to have sprung from nowhere. But you know it didn't. It arose from countless hours of work that no one witnessed. And while you master this art of calculated waiting, another, even darker set of skills is developing in parallel. There's a skill that separates chess players from checkers players in real life, the ability to read people with surgical precision, not to manipulate them maliciously, but to navigate the world with eyes wide open. Because you see, real human nature isn't the fairy tale they sold you. People act out of self-interest, are driven by fears and desires they often don't understand themselves, and operate based on predictable patterns when you know where to look. Machiavelli wasn't being cynical when he mapped these dynamics. He was being realistic. And here lies the power of predator consciousness. When you deeply understand how people function, what their hidden motivations are, where their insecurities and ambitions lie, you stop being surprised, you stop being betrayed unexpectedly, you stop entering into disastrous partnerships. You develop that keen perception that immediately identifies when someone is being genuine or when they're pretending, when an offer is truly good or when it has hidden poison. And it's not paranoia, it's cold, methodical observation, devoid of naive romanticism. It's understanding that in the game of life, some people are allies, others are competitors, and some are predators disguised as lambs. Let's talk about how to develop this awareness in a practical way, because it's not a mystical gift, it's a trainable skill. First, stop just listening to what people say and start observing what they do. That partner who's always talking about partnerships but never puts their hand in their pocket when it's time to invest. Their actions are telling you they want the benefits without the risks. That person who always has an excuse when you need them, but shows up immediately when they need something. The pattern is glaring. Second, identify weaknesses, not to exploit them maliciously, but to understand the whole game. If you're negotiating with someone and you realize they have a tight deadline, time weakness, you have an advantage. If you're competing with a company and you notice their product is superior, but their customer service is terrible, operational weakness, you know where to attack. It's like that exceptional salesperson who, in 5 minutes of conversation, has already identified whether the client decides based on price or quality, whether they're driven by fear of losing or a desire to win, whether they need social validation or autonomy, and adjusts their approach accordingly. He's not manipulating, he's reading the battlefield and positioning himself strategically. Politics guided by reality teaches us that ignoring these dynamics doesn't make you noble, it makes you naive and vulnerable. Now for the most sophisticated part, playing the long game while most people play for immediate results. Predator awareness means seeing 3, 5, 10 moves ahead, while others are only seeing the next one. Think of that businessman who could easily screw over a supplier in a negotiation, extract absurd conditions because he's in a position of power at the moment, but he doesn't. Why? Because he's playing the infinite game. He knows that markets change, that positions of power are temporary, that the reputation of being fair is worth much more than earning a few thousand now and creating an enemy that could harm him in 5 years. Or look at that investor who could sell a company's shares at a high pocket-quick profits, but holds on because he identified that the CEO has a long-term vision, that the company is just beginning to scale, that the fundamentals are solid. He read not only the numbers, but the people behind them and projected a 10-year horizon. Virtu and Fortuna meet here. You create your luck through the accurate reading of people and situations, positioning yourself where opportunities will appear before they appear. Avoiding being hated gains strategic depth. You don't attack unnecessarily, you don't create enemies out of ego, because you understand that each enemy is a future liability. The end justifies the means, but the end is sustainable dominance, not a Pyrrhic victory. And when you master this predatory awareness, when you can read the board while others are still learning the pieces, you naturally approach the most crucial moment of this entire journey. There comes a point in the journey where everything you've built in the shadows, all the silent work, all the accumulated expertise, all the implemented systems, finally reach critical mass. And then something happens that seems like magic to the untrained eye. You emerge. Not with pompous announcements, not with noisy marketing, but with results so undeniable that the world is forced to pay attention. And here's what most people don't understand. This moment of emergence isn't when you decide to reveal yourself. It's when your excellence becomes impossible to hide. It's like that company nobody knew that suddenly appears on the cover of every business magazine, not because it hired a PR agency, but because the numbers were so absurd, the disruption so profound, that it became inevitable news. Machiavelli observed this in the Italian condottieri. Some made a fuss without real achievements and quickly disappeared. Others accumulated silent victories until one day they controlled entire territories, and everyone wondered, where did this guy come from? The moment of emergence is when the appearance of virtue becomes real, manifest virtue, when you stop seeming competent and simply are undeniably competent. And the timing of this emergence is not random. It's a direct consequence of everything you did when no one was watching. Let's break down how this happens in practice, because understanding the right moment to emerge is as important as the work that precedes it. Consider the case of that software developer who spent 4 years working on a side project while maintaining a regular job. Nobody knew, nobody followed him, he didn't post updates on LinkedIn. Until one day he launched the product, a tool that solved a specific problem better than any competitor. In 3 months, he had 50,000 users, investors knocking on his door, acquisition proposals arriving. His emergence was explosive because the foundation was solid. Compare that to those who launch half-finished products, who announce before having something concrete, who burn credibility with unfulfilled promises. They try to emerge too early and sink. The calculated use of force here is about compressing all your energy, all your potential, until the exact moment when its release causes maximum impact. It's like that MMA fighter who spent years training in obscurity, losing fights on the amateur circuit, being ignored by promoters, until one night at a small event, he knocked out 3 opponents in a row in such a dominant way that he went viral, and within 6 months, he was signing with the UFC. His emergence seemed sudden, but it was the result of meticulous, invisible preparation. Now pay attention to the crucial detail that many get wrong. When you finally emerge, when your empire is revealed, you don't emerge asking for permission. You don't emerge justifying yourself. You don't emerge overly humble, trying not to bother anyone. You emerge with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've built something real. Decisions based on real human nature show us that people respect demonstrated strength, not weakness disguised as modesty. When that entrepreneur presents their pitch to investors, they don't say, "Excuse me for bothering you. Would you be interested in perhaps considering?" They arrive with, "I built this, these are the results, this is the market, are we going to do business or not?" Better to be feared than loved resonates here. When you emerge, people may not love you immediately. They may even feel envy or discomfort, but they will respect you if your competence is undeniable. Your own loyal armies take on literal meaning. At the moment of emergence, you have structures, people, systems that support your emergence. It's not just you alone making noise. It's a functional empire revealing itself. That writer who spent 5 years writing every day without publishing anything, refining her technique, developing her own voice, when she finally released her first book was so superior that critics had no choice but to acknowledge it. And the most fascinating thing, she launched her second book already finished, with a third in development, with a whole career strategy mapped out. She didn't emerge with an isolated product, she emerged with a literary empire in motion. But be warned, this moment of emergence, however glorious, is not the end of the journey. It's just a phase of it, and what you do after emerging determines whether you build a legacy or become just another case of fleeting success. Here's the truth. No one tells those who finally achieve success. The greatest danger isn't failing before reaching the top, it's relaxing after you get there. Because, ironically, most people spend years fighting, building, sacrificing, until they finally reach a significant level of success. And then they do exactly what they shouldn't. They get comfortable. They start believing their own propaganda. They start thinking they've arrived, that they can take their foot off the gas, that they deserve to relax after so much effort. And it's precisely at this moment that younger, hungrier, more focused predators begin to silently gain ground. Machiavelli deeply understood that constant adaptability isn't just for the building phase. It's for life. The princes who maintained power for decades were those who never stopped learning, never stopped adapting, never made the fatal mistake of thinking they already knew everything. The final code is simple but brutally difficult to maintain. Remain hungry even when you're already fed. Remain strategically hidden even when you could be in the spotlight. Remain dangerous even when you've mastered the game. Because hunger keeps you evolving. Concealment protects you from unnecessary attacks. And dangerousness ensures that no one will ever underestimate you again. Let's break down each element of this code with examples that will make you rethink everything. Stay hungry. Look at those billionaire entrepreneurs who wake up at 5 in the morning, who work 12 hours a day, even though they have enough wealth to support 10 generations. It's not about needing more money. It's about maintaining the mindset that there's always a next level, always a new challenge, always a competitor emerging who can overtake you if you falter. Warren Buffett, over 90 years old, continues to read financial reports for hours daily. Not because he needs to, but because his hunger for knowledge, for understanding business, for improving decisions, never dies. Or think of that athlete who won an Olympic gold medal and instead of retiring on his laurels, began training even more intensely for the next cycle, studying emerging opponents, improving techniques, because he understood that a champion is not someone who wins once, but someone who maintains the hunger to win indefinitely. Politics guided by reality shows us that markets evolve, technologies change, competitors emerge. Being complacent is a slow death sentence. Virtue and fortune meet here. You cannot control luck, but you can control your insatiable hunger for improvement. And this hunger creates more opportunities to seize luck when it appears. Now for the most sophisticated part, remaining hidden and dangerous simultaneously. This seems contradictory, but it's brilliant when you understand it. Hidden doesn't mean invisible. It means selective about what you reveal. That billion-dollar CEO who doesn't have a personal Instagram, who rarely gives interviews, who keeps his private life truly private, but when he speaks at an industry conference, everyone stops to listen because they know every word carries weight. Or that investor whose face no one knows, but who controls stakes in 20 different companies. He operates in the shadows, without a public ego, but is extremely dangerous because he has real influence without the vulnerability of exposure. Avoiding being hated takes on profound meaning here. The less people know about you, the less ammunition they have to attack you. But dangerous means keeping the skills that brought you here sharp, continuing to develop new capabilities, never letting anyone see you completely, so that there's always an element of surprise in your moves. It's like that exceptional negotiator who, even after closing 100 deals, continues studying psychology, communication, strategy. People know he's good, but they never know exactly all the cards he has up his sleeve. The end justifies the means here. The end is sustainable dominance for decades. The means include never fully revealing your arsenal, never becoming predictable, never letting the world completely categorize you. Your own loyal armies constantly evolve. They aren't the same skills as 5 years ago. They are renewed, adapted, expanded competencies. And when you internalize this ultimate code, when you understand that the journey never ends, that each victory is just a platform for the next level, that hunger and danger are permanent states and not temporary phases, you transcend the category of successful and enter the realm of the truly unstoppable. Those whom Machiavelli would study with admiration, those who build legacies that span generations, those who transformed initial rejection into eternal fuel for non-negotiable greatness. So you've made it this far, and now you have a very simple choice in front of you. Are you going to continue being that person who knows a lot but does little, who watches motivational videos, feels that inspiring thrill for 3 hours, and then goes back to the same mediocre routine as always? Or are you going to be different this time? Because look, I can give you all the knowledge in the world. I can show you exactly the path that Machiavelli mapped out centuries ago. I can give you the complete manual for productive revenge through absolute competence. But if you don't apply it, if you don't leave here and start building in the shadows today, developing real skills, transforming rejection into fuel instead of an excuse, none of that is worth absolutely anything. So tell me, what will be your first move? What is that skill that you will obsessively start mastering while everyone else is watching series? What is the system that you will build this week that will continue working for you 5 years from now? Who is the person who underestimated you and who in 3 years will choke when they discover what you have become? And here's the litmus test. Will you have the courage to work in silence while your friends are posting small achievements on social media? Will you be able to maintain your hunger even when you reach the first level of success? Will you have the discipline to remain dangerous, strategically hidden, always one step ahead while everyone thinks they know you completely? Because the stark truth is that most people who watch this video this far will close this tab, go back to Instagram, continue living on autopilot, and in 5 years they'll be in exactly the same place, complaining about the same things, blaming the same circumstances. But you have the potential to be different. You felt something different watching this, something inside you recognized these truths, some part of you that was dormant just woke up. The question is, will you nurture this awakening, or will you let it starve like all the other motivational impulses you've ever had? Look, I'm not here to be your best friend and tell you it's going to be easy, that you'll magically wake up tomorrow transformed. It's going to be incredibly difficult. There will be days when you'll want to give up, when you'll look around and see mediocre people receiving recognition while you're sweating blood in the shadows without an audience. There will be moments when the temptation to seek external validation will be almost irresistible, when you'll want to post about the process before you have concrete results. But that's exactly where you need to remember. It's better to be feared than loved, better to build an empire than to build an image. Better to emerge with undeniable competence than to promise greatness that never materializes. And if you really want to continue learning these concepts, if you want to master not only theory, but the practical application of Machiavellian strategy in the modern world, if you want to be part of this select group of people who transform knowledge into action and action into results, subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell, because the upcoming content will go even deeper, teaching you specific tactics, detailed strategies, and practical applications that will give you a brutal competitive advantage over anyone still playing the old game. The rejection you suffered was just the beginning of your story. The rest you write from now on, brick by brick, decision by decision, until you build something so grand that even you will be surprised by what you were capable of all along. So, are you going to stay there, or are you going to start?